If any youth could see a bit of themselves in a potential role model, that makes a big difference.
My name is Dwight Ballantyne. I grew up in Montreal Lake Cree Nation, Treaty 6, Saskatchewan. 4 years ago, I founded my own business called the Ballantyne Project. Coming from a reserve and moving to a city, I found there was so many gaps in between life on reserve and living in a city. And all these questions that came to me, what's a reserve and, what's a First Nation? And these were questions that kind of frustrated me. So the inspiration behind founding the Ballantyne Project was to use my story to talk about life on reserve, to educate people who don't know about this stuff. And I wanted to focus on youth. Like, if there was one thing we could do, the one thing that is really huge for my project is We See You trip. That is to shed light for youth and young adults who live on reserve and to educate city people who don't know about life on reserve.
About last year at this time, we just got a cold call out of the blue from Dwight. He introduced himself and said he's running an organization that looks to help First Nation youth in communities that may need it. And he said after reading all that has happened to Lytton over the previous couple of years, he thought maybe Lytton could use an outside organization like his.
Yeah, when we first worked with Dwight, they submitted a proposal to bring Indigenous youth from Fort Chipewyan in northern Alberta, a fly-in, fly-out community. And it was the first time that these youth were going to be really getting out of that community and seeing something else. And so to bring them to YVR, to Vancouver, was something that we really believed in.
So the We See You trip is we bring youth from a northern reserve that are hours away from the city, to Vancouver to experience educational component, cultural component. So we put them in the city for a week to experience city life and what's outside of the reserve.
The first time they met him, they were extremely interested in his story. Once I brought the Ballantyne Project to staff as well, I explained their story, situation, and what they wanted to do for us. They were very impressed when he came up and talked to them. He's got an incredible story.
It's all relatable in one way or another. We all share the same trauma, the same happiness, the same humor, the same healing, all that stuff that goes behind us First Nations people.
To see these youth arrive here to a community that they may never have been to, and to see an international airport or the mountains or a university, and to see that shift from being quite shy and timid arriving here and then seeing that growth throughout a few days has been amazing to see.
When I first meet the youth on reserve, of course they're not going to open up to me because why would you open up to an outsider? We're shy kids. We are shy kids. Wherever they come from, if it's a fly-in reserve, flying into Vancouver, or if it's Lytton First Nation, shuttling them down, I always find that they're always shy, and as the days go on, they start opening up because they see different things, like they see things that spark something in them, and that's the whole point. It's always the last day, they always open up and they're like, they start seeing the possibilities. As opposed to the first day, they're nice and shy. When they leave Vancouver, they're like, yeah, they have like this mission of what they want to do. And I feel like that's the whole point of it all, is to see what they can do when they come out of their shell. They're back home, they're still shy, but they still keep that piece of whatever it is they've seen in the city with them.
I think working with Dwight, seeing his inspiration and his passion for helping these communities, these youth, it's something that he's so passionate about that it's impossible not to be drawn to it and to support it.
He wants to help, and he wants to see First Nation kids do well.
I'm a huge believer of stepping out of your comfort zone and putting your foot in front of the other. Something about that scares me the most is something I love to do. That's the only way you can only grow as a person. I encourage you to do it because that's the only way you're ever going to get what you want, is stepping out of your comfort zone and just going for it.